Within the past 1 week, that is from Monday the 1st of June, right up to today, which happens to be the 7th of June 2026, the number of people killed in connection to the crisis in the Anglophone region, or the Northwest and Southwest region, it is alarming, especially in the Northwest region. A day will hardly go by without at least 2 people killed in connection to the crisis of the Northwest and Southwest region. If there is 1 week that has experienced high rate of killings of Cameroonians, whether military officials, whether non-state armed groups, whether civilians, women and children, as far as this conflict is concerned, within the most recent time, this week will go down in history as the most brutal week in the Northwest and Southwest region. From Monday right to Saturday, continuous killing of Cameroonians. And the question still in the minds of many is the parliament that has the power, that has the might, that is the only organ which is more powerful to determine the fate of the executive, the legislative class, and also the judiciary. Why has the parliament been silent in an issue that Cameroonians are being killed on a regular basis? Whether they are military personnel, whether they are civilians, whether they are even members of the armed groups. What will it take for Cameroonians to see that their parliamentarian who speak on behalf of Cameroonians, not just their constituency, to look into this issue and have it in their standing order to discuss it? October 2026 will clock 10 years of the Anglophone crisis, which began in early October 2026 with the teachers and the lawyers. The lawyers were beaten in early October in Moya, beaten, their week ceased, and in Bamenda they were brutalized. As places were almost about getting, the University of Boya students had a strike action. The strike action witnessed an unprecedented level of force was used, and chaos descended, and people were beaten randomly in Boya, whether they are students or they are not students. They were beaten. I remember when I was in a studio in a local television, when people ran into, and unfortunately they were still beaten in a restaurant around our office. And this cumulated to the teachers and the lawyers to form what became known as the Anglophone Civil Society Consortium. That was the early 2016. And before we could realize it, pressure mounted and the consortium pushed forward. And the government, in an attempt to resolve this issue now, having seen that force and violence will not do anything, decided to form what became known as Interministerial Ad Hoc Committee between the teachers and the lawyers. The teachers committee was headed by Paul Gogomo in Bamenda in the Northwest region. And this still did not go well, because as the Interministerial Ad Hoc Committee meeting in Bamenda was ongoing, some people were killed in Bamenda in December 9th. And in December 8th, the CPDM was about to hold a rally, and that became difficult at Commercial Avenue. Things became very difficult. They moved to Ayaba Hotel. That was when the prominent catapult came in, and that unleashed the gate of hell. And in Yaoundé, the Ministerial Committee for the lawyers were ongoing, and discussions held on in Bamenda. Unfortunately, the teachers and lawyers had promised the negotiators of the government that they will end the sit-at-home strike. They will call off the strike the previous day. Unfortunately, while they were negotiating, chaos descended in Bamenda, because some people were told that what happened in Fumba conference is about to happen. Some people were told that the teachers are being forced to sign something which was not okay. It was just a rumor. But before they could know it, the entire Bamenda has risen up and people marched up to Up Station, and that was when late Barrister Bernard Muna and late Chairman Ni John Frunzi went to Up Station to take the pulse of the region and to calm the situation down. And before we could know it, some persons have been killed. And then the teachers resorted, and the consortium said, we will not suspend the crisis. And that brought in the first announcement of the ghost town in 2017. That was on the 9th of 2017, when Barrister Nkongo Bala Felix, Tassan Wilfred and Co. stood the next day and said schools will not open, shops will not open, and that they will see whether it is Yaoundé, in their words, we will see whether it is Yaoundé that control us or control ourselves. And that was when things became difficult. Fast forward to September 22, 2017, thousands of people moved to the street. We are clocking 10 years in the crisis. Why has the parliament not spoken? The US Congress have talked about the Anglophone crisis. The European Union have talked about the Anglophone crisis. The Canadian government have talked about the Anglophone crisis. The House of Commons have talked about the Anglophone crisis. Pope Leo XIV has visited Cameroon, talked about the Anglophone crisis. Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, have visited Cameroon, talked about the Anglophone crisis. Francophonie have talked about the Anglophone crisis. Patricia Scotland came to Cameroon, talked about the Anglophone crisis. The then African Commission Chairperson Musa Faki came to Cameroon and talked about the Anglophone crisis. Even President Paul Biya himself acknowledged that there is an Anglophone crisis and created a grand measure national dialogue. In 2019, 30th of September 2019, President Paul Biya himself acknowledged and addressed the nation about the Anglophone crisis. And that same measure national dialogue, members of parliament still attended. But yet, are their hands tied? Why? And what needs to be done? This is House of Commons with me, Tah Mai Javis. I want to seize this opportunity to wish you guys happy Sunday. We apologize for the late start due to technical issues because our guests were already here on time and we were just waiting because of technical issues. We could not begin the program on time. I want to apologize sincerely for those of you who have been waiting for the program. Today we are looking at the Anglophone crisis, and as blood continue to flow on the streets of the northwest and the southwest region, what needs to be done by the members of parliament? Why haven't they addressed the Anglophone crisis as an issue? The SDF called upon them at one point in time to address this issue. They still did not, to an extent that the SDF held the parliament hostage singing Le Pays Va Mal. In response, the CPD and parliamentarians were singing C'est le SDF qui va mal. We are counting 10 years down the road. What is happening? Happy Sunday to you, Mr. Nyam Robert and your wife. In the studio, we are joined by Dr. Barrister Asong Michael, a presidential aspirant of the 2025 presidential election, and who is now a full-fledged politician that believes in the fact that he has what it takes to transform Cameroon, and believe that the youth are the ones that will have the locus to change this country, and not those who have spent most of their time running down the country. And he believed that it is only when we look at the youth as a veritable force for change in the country, then we can have a focus and a direction and a national policy and a roadmap that will not only benefit Cameroonians, but will benefit the generations to come. Dr. Barrister Asong is not a doctor which is based on philosophical. He's a medical doctor. Happy Sunday and thanks for joining us.
Happy Sunday, Mr. Javis. Happy Sunday to all our viewers. It's a privilege for me once more to be on your program, Mr. Javis. And thank the media team for everything they are doing to promote young politicians like us, so that we can stand on stage and propose what is best for this nation. Notwithstanding, my heart goes to all the military men who lost their lives this week due to the ongoing Anglophone crisis. May their souls rest in peace. And my condolences to their families. My deepest sympathy also to the family members of those who lost their loved ones, civilians also, and also armed men in the Anglophone regions due to this crisis. May their souls also rest in peace. This crisis has once more shown us that the government is unwilling to resolve this problem, and that's why we as a youth, we are standing up to say no. My heart also goes to all our students who are writing the GCE O levels and advanced level. I think there is a communique that has been made by the Minister of Secondary Education stipulating a suspension based on the leakage of some questions. This once more goes to show us how our leaders are irresponsible managing state affairs. It is unacceptable that in the national exams like the GCE, O level and A level, questions should leak. And even if questions leak, we know that there are so many questions which are being proposed.
You have
there is a
section A, B, C.
So there is a question bank.
Yes.
So at least for each paper, even if you're just having maybe 4 questions, there should be a bank of at least 100 other questions, which if they realize that there has been a leakage, you just need to go and take from that bank and change it.
Why
postponing
it for more than a week?
And creating a lot of stress for these children. So it's really sad that we are going through all of this in Cameroon. Moreover, we have the floods in Yaoundé, at the center town, Acropole. You see there's floods everywhere. What is the government doing? And lastly, we have political prisoners still in prison. And I think that tomorrow they'll be hearing once more the case of Patrick Menge, the youth who mentioned after the death of former president of the Senate, Nyanje, that God is getting closer to the target. So I think that we have extremely zealous authorities who seem to be more royalist than the king himself.
They want to be more holier than the Pope.
Exactly. And we know that President Biya has never responded to any insult. He has never responded to any wish of death.
But what even equates it like he's talking to President Biya?
Anyway, that is what the zealous authorities think. And now we say that, okay, even if he's talking about President Biya, you can't be more holier than the Pope. President Biya is not interested in all of those things. And he has proven it to us 1 in a million times that he is not interested in all of these things. In 2004, when his plane missed the crash, he came down and said that people are wishing he's dead. But that is giving them 20 more years. So that therefore means that he knows that Cameroonians want him dead. And of course, being the president of the republic and having the supreme powers, if he wanted to track them, he would have been able to do that. But he didn't. So I don't think that is when he's 93 years old that he is going to be seeking to keep somebody in prison or not. So those are the difficulties we are facing. We also have political leaders of the MLC party who are still in prison. We have youths.
The chairman is also
there. We have youths of the post-electoral crisis of October 2025 who are still in prison. And these politicians should all be liberated. The reason is very simple. If the government wasn't poorly managing the affairs of this country, they would have not gone out on the streets to complain or to break anything. So in a way, the government is solely responsible for every action that was taken by this political leader. So I think, and I've always said, that if it happens that I take power, I'm going to free all political prisoners.
Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Dr. Asong. Let's move. Let me introduce the next panelist that we have. Is Se Mutaga, a very strong pillar when it comes to the Cameroon's Renaissance Movement Party, special advisor to president of their party, Professor Maurice Kamto, who believe in the fact that the party has what it takes to change Cameroon and to fight for a better Cameroon. A new vision for Cameroon is possible based on the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, and that is why they have been firm to explain their vision and to call authorities to order to make it possible for Cameroonians to be able to express themselves within the context of the law. Mutaga is always a firm believer of truth, justice, and of course reconciliation, and believe in the fact that the law must always be respected. Happy Sunday, an elite from Kruku village.
Thank you, Mr. Tah Mai Javis. It's always an honor being on set, especially having my bosom friend, Dr. Barrister Michael, with me on stage. May I use this opportunity to greet the Christian community that scotched to their TV sets and they're watching this program, north, south, east, and west. I would equally like to use this opportunity to wish happy Sunday to the millions of militants and sympathizers of the CRM political party that are crisscrossing all the nooks and crannies of the nation to ensure that fresh registrations are done on the electoral rolls, because we've been expecting the organization of the municipal and parliamentary elections, but to our greatest surprise, to our dismay, the regime in place seems to be afraid of the CRM, and they are dangling, or maybe dancing, winding time to think that the CRM would die. CRM would never die. It's a small party, as they call it, but a party that is like a needle that is very difficult to swallow. The CRM is working well. I want to thank the National Directorate of the CRM that mandated me to represent the party here on stage, and to say, Mr. Tah Mai Javis, if I look at the topic of debate today, which is talking about parliamentary inaction, I think that is a taboo, because our parliament has always been very active, especially when it has to do with major crises that are plaguing our nation. If we go into history, we find out that in 2008, the National Assembly debated on the food price riot that sparked out in Cameroon, and it took the lives of many hungry youths who took into the street. Even though right up to date, we've not really got the final verdict of the inquiries that were conducted. The forces of law and order that perpetrated the killings, and even some politicians that instigated the killings of those people in 2008, we've not heard any exemplary chastisement that was meted on them. And then when we look at 2014, you bear in mind with me that Parliament amended the penal code and included the anti-terrorism law in response to the Boko Haram insurgencies in the northern parts of the nation. And then in 2019, after the Grand National Dialogue, we find that the Senate had to entertain a bill on the centralization that emanated from the government.
Yeah.
So the Anglophone crisis is not a novelty. It's something that is about 10 years today. And it has led to the loss of about 6,000 lives, lives of civilians, lives of uniformed officers. It has caused the two regions to be economically grounded, and they are said to be economically sinistered. So we ask ourselves questions: why has the National Assembly of Cameroon maintained a protracted silence with regard to the Anglophone crisis? And I believe, by the special grace of Almighty God, we shall be up to the task to enlighten Cameroonians, because we've not come here to throw an attempt or to condemn the National Assembly, but to explain to Cameroonians the major constraints which most of them might have, and to tell Cameroonians also why the National Assembly might or is failing in its role as one of the arms of government. Thank you so much for inviting me, Mr. Tah Mai
Yes,
Javis.
I begin with you before moving to Barrister Dr. Hassan. We are counting 10 years. What could be the reason why the Anglophone crisis has not been in the standing order of the Parliament, which seems to be the body that has the powers to legislate, to actually give what is called, what is described as a parliamentary, a parliamentary order or a parliamentary provision for the government, for the executive to see how they can handle this crisis?
Mr. Tah Mai Javis, to the spectators, that's the televiewers, excuse me, the televiewers who are watching this program over there, permit me be more pedagogic. You will bear in mind that we are having some procedural constraints, especially with regard to the standing orders and agenda and control of the National Assembly. Now, when we look at the internal regulations of the National Assembly, you find that the Bureau of the National Assembly has discretion of admissibility. They have the different bureaus. You know, the National Assembly is not just like a Chinese parliament that people decide on what to do. There's a creation of, there are different bureaus that have been set up. So you find that in Section 56 of Section 56 of our Constitution says that the National Assembly standing orders empowers the bureau to rule on motions or questions inadmissibility if it is deemed to undermine national unity, territorial integrity, and public orders. You understand? So,
but if it is deemed to undermine national unity and territorial integrity, which body has the power to talk about the protection of national unity and territorial integrity, if not the parliament?
That's where we are coming there. I told you that the Anglophone crisis does not only undermines the territorial integrity of the nation and the unity of the nation, because you recall that it is a crisis that has to do with a faction of those of the southern British Cameroon vying in for a total independence. But now, if we were to talk of a parliament that is humanistic, a parliament that has that values human dignity, Mr. Tah Mai Javis, you understand that I took example of the Boko Haram incidents, I took example of the hunger crisis in 2006. I will be asking a question that did the parliament have to hammer on that simply because it did not touch the national integrity of the country? That's the question that we'll be asking ourselves here. But then this should be a lie from the pit of hell, because the Anglophone crisis touches the very fundamental intercourse of the unity of a nation. Because if we are talking of celebration of the 20th May, you understand that it stems back from 1972, after the abrogation or the destruction of the federal system of government, which they said this federal system of government was encouraging or a fostered duplication, administrative duplication, and that it was going to weaken the stability of the nation. And then later, there's been a series of crises that came up. You remember, this is not the very first time that we are talking. We hear of people of the southern British Cameroon having some disgruntlement or grudges, you know, of the famous SCNC that used to exist. So before the crisis broke out in 2016, we had been thinking that it should be debated in the National Assembly, and that's the more reason you find that one of the prominent parliamentarians of the SDF, Joseph Weber, had advocated that there's been grievances that were boiling out in the former British Southern Cameroon, and that if National Assembly doesn't handle it meticulously well, it was going to lead to the chaotic situation where we are today. So why has Cameroon National Assembly been unable to speak on the Anglophone crisis? I want to take this from Prince. There are three theories. Theories as a political scientist. The very first theory we talk of the principal agent theory, which is used to explain constitutional economics. You remember that here the principal constituent is the people. Are you getting what I'm saying? The principal constituent is the people. So meaning that the National Assembly ought to be responsible, answerable to the people.
First.
Yes, answerable to the people. The people in their vast majority, over the 10 regions of Cameroon, have been clamoring that the National Assembly should debate the issue of the Anglophone crisis. But that might not be the same, because they are constrained. Where do the constraints come from? When the principal agent responsibility is somehow stifled by economic factors, you understand? Knowing that the agent, we have the principal is the constituent, but now the parliamentarians are answerable to a party logics, a party discipline. Now, if they have to debate the Anglophone crisis at the National Assembly, it might temper the interest of the party that's in power. Now, you see, they will be tempted to shy away because the cost of discussing the Anglophone crisis might outweigh the benefit which they stand to gain from their
which is not personal benefit, not the benefit
personal
of
benefit. That's where we are. Now we look at the dominant party theory. The dominant party theory, it's a theory that is well grounded. You find that in classical democracy, where you have a political party with a majority at the National Assembly and that party is in power, you know what I'm saying? It is, and if the crisis is as a result of the fact that the citizens are against the very existence of the party in power, and that party is the majority in the National Assembly. You find that it would be difficult for them to accept that a bill that is coming from the opposition should be tabled. So the obese majority of the CPDM doesn't want the bills from either the opposition parties concerning the Anglophone crisis to be handled. Now, people who are outside, they will analyze the question and say, oh, your party, the CRM, boycotted the 2020 municipal and parliamentary elections. Don't you think that if your party had gone to power, had gone in for elections, you would have won seats so as to represent the people at the National Assembly and talk on all this? I will tell you that when you look at the political calendar, the calendar of elections in our nation, the calendar of elections in our nation has been made in such a way that municipal and parliamentary elections are supposed to hold before the presidential elections is certain. But the CPDM, that is working like a mafia, know for certain that if municipal and parliamentary elections are held before presidential elections, they are certainly going to lose legitimacy because the people will vote them out. If you take the case of Senegal, you understand that in Senegal, the party of Osman Sonko and Diomaye Faye had never been majority in the National Assembly. It was after when Diomaye Faye won the presidential elections, you find it is grounded in political science. The party that is in power, go through most of the democracies, especially young democracies, you realize that that party has an upper hand to have the majority at the National Assembly. And that's why you see in our nation, the CPDM knows it. President Paul Biya, who is a political scientist, knows it. He constantly violates the constitution because of the constitutional void. You know, that is there. Prolong elections so as to maintain an obese majority at National Assembly that will be dependent on the executive. The executive dictates what the National Assembly does, and then finally it's difficult for powers to be controlled.
We'll be coming back to you, Dr. Barrister Asong. How do we comprehend this, that for almost 10 years, because the parliament has not put this in their standing order? He quoted a provision there that the parliament is constrained when it comes to issues that threaten national integrity or territorial integrity. But what is the unit of analysis of something that threatens national integrity or territorial integrity? Can't it be managed? Can it be discouraged? Is it not the parliament that can determine these things?
Well, it's quite complicated because you see, when you look at our laws, particularly our constitution, you realize that certain basic principles have not been put into practice. For example, when we talk about powers that govern a nation, and we talk about the organs that actually constitute the arms or the branches of the government, you are going to realize that the general principle warrants that we should have an executive power, we should have a legislative power, and we are supposed to have a judiciary power. But now you are going to realize that according to our constitution, we only have two powers. Article 2 of our constitution states clearly that sovereignty belongs to the people and it is being exercised by the executive and the legislative. So you are going to realize that we only have two powers in Cameroon. The judicial power is not considered, does not exist in Cameroon. We have a judicial organ, but we don't have a judicial power. And that's the reason why you also...
What do you mean by we don't have a judicial power?
We don't have a judicial power because the constitution does not provide that there is a judicial power.
We have a
it states that, yes, we have a constitutional council. We have a judicial organ made up of the different courts which we have. They are not independent, and that's the reason why the constitution states that the independence of the judicial organ is being guaranteed by the President of the Republic. Now, why do I say that there is no judicial power? I say that there is no judicial power because in Article 2 of the Constitution, it states that sovereignty belongs to the people and it is being exercised by the executive and legislative power. So it means that according to our Constitution, only two types of powers are being recognized: the executive power and the legislative power. So we now understand why our judicial organ is so weak in controlling the executive and the legislative power. And that leads me to talk about the principle of separation of powers. Because in the principle of separation of powers, the goal of having different powers governing a state is that each power should be able to exercise control on the other. For example, if you have an executive power, the executive power should be able to exercise control on the legislative power. The legislative power is supposed to be able to exercise control if a judicial power exists on the judicial power, and the judicial power should be able to exercise control on the legislative and also on the executive power. But now you're going to realize that in Cameroon, that principle of separation of power does not exist, especially when the president of the republic is the president of the higher judicial council. So it means that he completely controls the judicial organ, you see, and that's why I say that there is no judicial power in Cameroon. Now, when we want to take now the relationship between the executive power and the legislative power, we now have issues, very serious issues, which I have been condemning. You're going to realize that the mandate of the members of the National Assembly has been extended twice. And according to the Constitution of Cameroon, when we look at Article 15, subsection 4, it provides a mechanism through which the President of the Republic can extend the mandate of members of the National Assembly. Now, this whole principle is based on the notion of decree laws. So decree laws are actually laws which are being initiated by the executive and being adopted by the National Assembly. So when the President of the Republic wants to acquire some favors or obtain some favors from the legislative power, he uses that particular article to prolong their mandate.
Yes.
So I don't know of anybody who will want his mandate not to be prolonged for any reason whatsoever. But we know that it's also some sort of manipulation, because it will mean that they will still have the advantages, they can still take decisions. So the first extension was being initiated on the, I think, 14th of July 2024, which extended their mandate from the 10th of March 2025 to the 30th of March 2026. And meanwhile, according to that constitution, an extension should only be carried out once, because it is clearly written there that after the prolongation period, elections must be organized. But that is not what we saw this March 2026. We saw another extension without elections. So the president has given this privilege to the members of the National Assembly to be able to extend their mandate. And that is the reason why you see that after that extension, which I consider illegal because it violates the constitution, elections were supposed to have been organized to have new members of the National Assembly. They found their mandate being extended.
Even new councillors.
Even councillors. An illegal extension of their mandate. And it's during this illegal extension of their mandate that they modified now the constitution, which is still illegal again, because the constitution in Article 64 provides that no amendments can be conducted on the constitution if it violates the principles of territorial integrity, the form of the state, the principles of unity, and the principles of democracy. Now, the creation of the vice presidency
has violated the
principles of democracy, which in Articles 2 states that sovereignty belongs to the people and is being exercised by the executive and the legislative power, and the members or the heads of these powers must be elected. So it means that by creating the vice presidency,
who will complete the
mandate of the president, who will be having the head of the executive who has not been elected
by the will of the people.
By the will of the people. So it violates that particular principle of democracy. So now we are seeing here that the executive automatically controls the legislative power, and that's not the only thing. When you look at the Senate, the president of the republic has the capacity to appoint 30 senators.
Yes.
So we have
100 per region.
3 per region. We have 100. The president alone appoints 30. So he already has 30%.
30% of the total vote. So you already see that that is already biased, because with 30% you can win.
And
you can win a majority with 30%.
Suffrage, yeah.
Exactly. So you see that you can win a majority at the Senate just with the 30%,
Yes.
if the votes
Yes.
are scattered.
Yes.
So that just goes to show that the president of the republic has a grip, a very firm grip on the legislative power. So it becomes now difficult. It becomes now difficult for the same people who seem to have benefited from the grace of the president of the republic to speak against the president of the republic. Now this goes now to another, I'm going to another point which also shows that even members of the parliament, the question is, are they even conscious of their responsibilities and obligations? Do they even know the basic principles that govern the separation of powers? Do they even know their role? Because it seems to me that so many of our members of the parliament are ignorant of their responsibilities. And we have seen it several times. Some of them don't even know the law. Some of them don't even master the laws. When you listen to them even speak on television, and that's why most of them rarely come on TV.
Yes, they don't,
because these are people with little or no knowledge about the role they are supposed to play as a legislative power. Now, if you look at those who have been elected, you will find that there are very few who are really educated. And you see that that is how the regime of Biya has been pumping incompetent people into our institutions.
But
that has led to the type of scenario we are seeing today. Because let me tell you.
You will not also blame them, because the constitution talked about the qualification of who runs for parliament doesn't have educational provision.
No, I understand, but there are basic things that a leader is supposed to know. You won't be aspiring for a position of a member of the parliament and you don't even know the role of the parliament. And you see, that is why it becomes difficult. Because if you don't know that your role as a member of the parliament, having in possession legislative power, is to control the president of the republic, it becomes complicated. Now, you see what is happening in the Northwest and the Southwest. When you look at the provisions of Article 9 of the Constitution, it states reasons, measures, and the procedures on how the president of the republic is supposed to manage certain things. Okay, we can say that from a general look, we can have the impression that what is happening in the Anglophone regions is not a matter that should call for a state of emergency or to call for a state of exception, you see. But on the field, you are going to realize that there are moments when the way military actions are being taken, you realize that it's a state of emergency.
We have even had some members of parliament who have even called for the state to declare a state of emergency.
Of course. And you see what the president took as action, because the president, when he came down from his plane, declared war against the secessionists. You see. Now, declaring war, according to the principles of Article 9 of the Constitution, it warrants that it should be done by a decree. Now, that type of decree, a president does not issue decrees as he likes. There are principles, guiding principles. We talked about the decree law, and that is how the president should have issued that type of decree. Or the parliament should have given him the powers to be able to carry out certain things through ordinances. So those are the two ways the president of the republic can actually carry out an activity through the laws. By decree law, where he initiates it, then the parliament has to vote, and then he promulgates it, or the parliament gives him the powers to carry out certain things through ordinances. So you see that all the actions that President Biya has been taking in the Northwest and in the Southwest are illegal. So the parliament at that moment was supposed to tell President Biya that what he's conducting in the Northwest and Southwest, declaring war to the secessionists that is there, it's already violating the Constitution. They did not do.
Maybe look at it from a position of commander-in-chief and also the position of special military operation.
Even if he's a commander-in-chief, the law, the procedures are clear. The procedures are clearly stated in the Constitution. There are things that you cannot carry out just because you want to carry them out, especially when it is to a certain magnitude. And that's why it becomes difficult for us to resolve this Anglophone crisis, because you see that the President of the Republic has actually controls all the powers. Not only does he control his executive power, which he actually exercises in abuse, he controls the legislative power, he controls the judiciary. So these people who are there, how do they condemn somebody who has given them the privilege to be there? It becomes very, very complicated. And that's why we as a youth today in Cameroon, we are saying that we have been in majority the victims of this Anglophone crisis. When the military men are being killed, they are not all military men that are killed. They are youths that are killed. Those who just come out from school. I remember when I was in Oyumojok, they were sending gendarmes who had not yet completed training to come on the field. So that is the extent to which these people could go. More to that, when the civilians who are dying, the armed men, they are still youths.
And they are still Cameroonians.
And they are still Cameroonians. So we are the ones suffering. And that's the reason why I'm telling every youth today, we cannot be putting our trust in all politicians who have contributed to what we are having today. I'm talking about Mr. Issa Chiroma, who served this government for over 30 years.
Not to defend
No, it's good to defend themselves. No, it's good to, no, it's not about them being there to defend themselves. It's about us telling the truth to youths that these our old politicians have failed. We are talking here about Professor Maurice Kamto, who in 2008, in 2008, no, it's not about talking about, I'm just giving examples. In 2008, youths died in Douala. Our second year medical students, youths died in Douala. They said nothing. So I am calling on the youths. They must realize that they are the continuity of this nation. And I'm speaking to everybody. I'm speaking to the military youths. I'm speaking to the civilian youths, that they must be aware of the fact that the continuity of this country, the responsibility of taking this nation to the next level lies in our hands. And that is why we have to work together to prepare the next legislative and municipal elections. That we should take power, we should take over the parliament, and we shall put the executive on check. If they don't know what to do, we know what to do to put them on check.
Okay, come back to you. Wanted to say something before moving to my question.
Mr. Tah Mai Javis, most often I have the impression that Barrister Dr. Michael speaks without a second thought. He is aspiring to become President of the Republic of Cameroon. I will be asking myself questions. Is he going to be president for the younger generations and not for the older generation? A presidential aspirant who climbs on stage and opposed create conflicts of generations, to me, is still not yet prepared to take power.
Are you going to my question, or you are creating room for further debate on issues that are not? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I will say something here that he should understand. President Biya took power when he was a youth.
He was not a youth. Biya took over power in 49 years.
49 was not.
Yeah, no, if he's the prime minister, 49, he was a youth.
49, he was a youth.
No, 49 years.
49, he was a youth.
No.
That's what this regime has been teaching us.
I will tell you that 49, he was a youth. But I will not tarry on that, because I know that we have a generation of politicians in the opposition
that means I'm a baby.
That whenever they want to maybe have some visibility, they want to hang on politicians that are well renowned by running them down. We are talking on the.
You are going detail.
We are talking on the topic of today. We are talking about the topic of today. Parliamentary inaction.
Yes, that's what I was
expecting. With regards to the Anglophone crisis. To the televiewers outside there, I know they are fine brains. I love them because Cameroonians have a high IQ. Or they can reason out and they can distinguish between the chaffs and the grains. Article 14 of the Constitution of our nation says, legislative power shall be exercised by the Parliament, which shall comprise the National Assembly and the Senate. This grants the Parliament exclusive competence to legislate on matters listed in Article 26 including the political, administrative, and judicial system. You know what I'm saying? Fundamental rights and organization of national defense. The Anglophone crisis touches all these domains. So if the National Assembly, which is in place since 2016, has been unable to talk about or to discuss the Anglophone crisis, is not because there aren't any constitutional provisions. I said it emphatically on the onset of this program that it's because it is an obese parliament, and the minority, that is the opposition, is unable to break out. Now, when you go to Article 26, you find that say, Parliament shall legislate and control government action. The dual mandate, they shall legislate and control government action. Not just only legislate, they don't only vote law, but they have to control. So you find that control is not a victory. They are not saying that they're going to advise the government, they're going to do it. It is to control government action, and it is a constitutional function. It means they have to hold the government accountable. They have to.
At one point, then they have right to invite the Minister of Defense.
The Minister of Defense. Even they call the government, the President of the Republic,
for a parliamentary hearing.
For a parliamentary hearing. So when you look at it, you say this includes oversight of the executive conduct on security operations.
But the head of the government is not the President of the Republic. That is what you are not saying. When they say control the government, they did not say control the President of the Republic. When you read the Constitution, when they talk about the executive power, there are two sections. They talk about the President of the Republic and they talk about the government. And that is why I'm saying that it has not been provided. And there are so many loopholes. So many. If you read
Dr. Mike Akumo, I expected you to allow me manage my time. When you were talking here, even though
I just wanted to
most of what you said I didn't concord, but there is a Volturian dictum which say I might not concord with you, but I have the right to allow you to talk to you. Stop. That is the ethics of communication.
Stop now.
So, like I was saying, if you go into Article 26, you may add that they say Parliament legislates on the rules concerning fundamental rights, public freedoms, and the protection of individual liberties. Now, mass displacement has been done in the Anglophone due to the Anglophone crisis. The internally displaced persons who are wandering in the street, they are refugees in Nigeria and all the like. Is that not enough to even, let me say, articulate a certain sense of empathy and sympathy in the heart of the obese majority of the National Assembly, which is the CPDM, to think that it's high time they place the Anglophone crisis on the table of discussion? You find that it's their constitutional right, and they are not respecting it. If you go to Article 35 of the Constitution, you find that parliamentary oversight is operational in two ways, in two folds. You said the MPs have right to certain parliamentary commissions, which they create commissions of inquiry. They are supposed to create commissions of inquiry. Are they telling us that from 2016 to 2025, the parliament has been unable to create commissions of inquiries to go into the northwest and southwest region to investigate and see that the atrocities are enormous that warrant a state of national discourse? You know, they say desperate situations trigger desperate measures. That has not been done. So you find that our parliament is failing us. It's not because the Constitution has not given them the powers to handle the Anglophone crisis. It's because a certain degree of cynicism exercised by the obese majority, which is the CPDM. And that's the more reason we of the opposition have been saying that they shouldn't keep on maintaining people who are illegitimate, because if these people were really legitimate, they would have been talking on behalf of the people who are feeling the pain of what is happening.
Who are those illegitimate?
Those whose mandates have just been prolonged because they feel that
prolonged constitutionally. No?
Constitutionally, I think Doctor had expatiated on it at length.
So you concur with him on that?
I concur with him on that. So I would not be coming there. I said there are certain things we do not concur. I did not say what he was saying was totally a mess. You know, I'm very objective in what I do, and that's why.
And you speak with a lot of alacrity.
And that's why many people like hearing me talk. So you understand that our parliament is failing. Our parliament is failing. I gave you the trick which the government in place has always used to maintain on the base majority. They'll keep on prolonging elections, organize presidential elections before municipal and legislative elections, in order that the whole grip of the apparatus of the government apparatus of the nation, and after that they would know how they need to maneuver and rig elections. So it's really regrettable that we are in that state. So I heard let me say I listened to the speech of the young president of Senegal, Diomaye Faye, though we might have a number of things which are quite divergent, we don't converge on many things, but he said, democracy is not like a lofty game that we've caught it and then we want to hold a grip to it. In Cameroon, the president of the republic, who wants to be remembered as the architect of democracy, has actually hold a grip to democracy. He doesn't want any other persons to ascend to the supreme magistrate. You see that it is an illiberal democracy. It's not really a participative democracy as we have it. The Frenchman call it c'est la démocratie. So, Mr. Tah Mai Javis, I will give you a number of facts that also would explain the reason why the National Assembly has been unable to discuss the Anglophone crisis, because we are not here only to talk to Cameroonians, maybe because we want to castigate the regime in place. We must give them facts on how the constitution in place functions. That's why you see that there's been a platform by some of the opposition political parties, which they said there should be a consensual reform of the electoral system, and the constitution itself should be touched in a consensual manner in such a way that this void should be eradicated to ensure that whosoever that is at the helm of the supreme magistrates of the nation should be working for the common good of the people. So you find that the parliamentarians also have constraints. They may have the goodwill to work, but they are constrained. So now, when I said here that when you look at section 26 of the National Assembly order, you find out they say that it permits bills initiated by members of parliament. Such bills, you were still talking. So you need such bills need 10 signatures to be tabled and not like. And now I'll come back again to ask a question: does it mean that the oppositions which are in the National Assembly,
they're not up to 10? They
are not up to 10 to table a bill at the National Assembly for the Anglophone crisis to be discussed? I don't want to cite the political parties which are at the National Assembly. That's a question I'm asking ourselves. Now they do so through oral questioning and all the like, but. Yes, we have seen, I'm not in any way throwing stones at anyone. We have seen members of parliaments, which I don't want to cite their names here.
Why are you afraid of citing their names? The people have to know. The thing that will progress how the people have to know. If
do oral questioning, they do acute constraints. When you go to Article 8 of the Constitution, subparagraph 1, they say, the President of the Republic shall be the head of state. He shall define national policy. This is routinely interpreted to grant the president primacy on security matters. You see, in practice, it is used to argue that Parliament cannot compel the executive to alter military strategy in the Northwest and Southwest region, because the President of the Republic define the policy of the nation. He's the one that wears the shoes and know where it is.
Yeah, but
defining the policy of the nation does not mean that he does what he wants.
Listen.
He works according to the constitution.
You should define the policy. As it is routinely. I'm not saying. Listen to what I said.
That parliament cannot defy, right?
Listen, I said it is routinely. I've not said that I have the impression it is routine. That's what people you talk.
What does the constitution say? We have to interpret what the constitution says.
The president of the republic shall be the head of state. He shall define the national policy. Listen, I said this is routinely interpreted to grant the presidency primacy in security matters.
Wrong, the wrong interpretation.
No, not the wrong interpretation. Let me say something.
Policy passes through the legislative power.
Doctor, let me tell you something.
We said here,
you are in Cameroon. I have the impression that you live like one who is living in space and you want to be president of Cameroon. You know that our National Assembly has never on its own initiated in a bill. Most often the bills come from the executive, and they only go there is a hand clapping parliament.
You are the one who is calling it a hand.
You know why?
We are taking an example.
It's not a hand clapping parliament. You are saying you are the one calling it.
I have the right to say so.
And they don't know their role, as I said. Yeah.
Let me come. When you go to Article 9 of the Constitution, say that the president may proclaim a state of emergency, which shall confer special powers on the administrative authority, while no national state of emergency has been declared already in the Northwest region.
The question is that true? What?
The Constitution, It's true Article 9. Which
Trade decree now.
a decree, yes, a trade decree.
So
I talk about the different forms where law. I don't think that's
no, it's good
that's
to
one of
say
the lessons we learned in level 1 and 2 at the university when we were reading law. You and I. So you have already said
it's a decree now.
Why would I be
the law?
And the decree has to pass through the parliament.
Dr. Mike, I will not be repeating that because you had already said. I said most of the decrees which emanate from the executive, he who pays the piper dictate the tune. Most of these members of parliaments of the CPDM, they are handpicked. They have no grassroots legitimacy. They are this thing. Their party campaign, the election campaign budget come from where? Some of them don't even have it from their pockets.
That's true.
It is money from the state coffers. So when these people are there, they are only answerable.
Money from which state coffers? Let's be.
No, it's okay. Let me just continue.
Why would you be saying money from which state coffers? Okay, from your state coffers.
No. From their party, not the state coffers.
Well, just continue.
Let us look at Article 26. Let's look at Article 26, Mr. Tah Mai Javis. We say, the initiative of law shall belong completely to the President of the Republic and the members of Parliament. However, Article 28, paragraph 2, give the President priority. Government bills are examined before private member bills, combined with Article 30 on financial inadmissibility, which blocks any member bill that would decrease revenue and increase expenditure without executive consent. There are bills that might be tabled by the National Assembly to be handled. Maybe bills to investigate what has happened in the Northwest region. The President of the Republic, because he has pleasure to see the war going on. Remember, as the war is going on in the Northwest and Southwest region, all the members of Parliament, they are appointed by them. The elections would not hold. The last presidential...
No, election held now.
Oh, Mr. Tah Mai Javis, you are just angering me.
No, elections held.
Which elections held in the Northwest region? In Batibo, where I come from. You want to tell me that 5,000 persons voted in Batibo?
That's your interpretation.
5,000. I went there. You remember I was kidnapped when in the Northwest region. Who other person would have gone there to vote in the Northwest region? If those of us are braving the oath to do politics, to go in
I understand.
Kidnap, who would have had that mind to do so?
Semutaga.
My problem is, I don't know where we are heading to with all what you say. I want to know where we are heading.
We are heading to the point that the parliamentarians who are there at the National Assembly, let us even consider that the opposition had gotten the majority. Are you get what I'm saying? That they could talk on behalf of the people. We still find articles of the Constitution that would be constraint on them.
No, that's why
now I want to still say this. Remember the Constitution. Remember the Constitution says that the President of the Republic. It is only Cameroon's Constitution that says so. If you quote any other Constitution that says that the President of the Republic can dissolve the National Assembly in times of crisis, you let me know.
No, even
which
Senegal.
Senegal?
Yes, they recently did in 2024.
In September 2024, before Pasteur had the majority of 80%. It's a general principle.
It's a general
It's
principle.
everywhere.
Now, let us even come to the Article 37, subparagraph 3. The independence of the judiciary shall be guaranteed by the President of the Republic. What does that tell you, Dr. Mike?
I said that there's no judicial power.
No, I'm telling you that we are living in a republic. In a republic, I will not call it a banana republic like some rascals would do. I will say that
you have just called it.
I have not called it.
You see, you have just say you will not call it a banana like some
rascals would do.
Yes.
No, the rascals wrong to say that it's a banana republic.
No.
They hold right to the opinion. What I'm saying is that we are living in we have a kangaroo government.
Yeah,
we have a kangaroo government in place, which is not working for the interests of the people. And I'm of the opinion that the only way where we can have a National Assembly that is accountable to the people is when certain provisions of the Constitution of our nation would have been amended.
Okay.
And that's the more reason that you find that those provisions, simply because they are there and they are in favor of the demigod that is in place, they would never want to touch those provisions of the National Assembly, of the Constitution. I mean, they only want to touch the provisions of the Constitution that we see that favor the ordinary citizens, favor any rivalry forces like Dr. Amak, Dr. Michael, Asong, that will be coming up maybe to vie in for presidential elections in the nearest future, or provisions that will stop Professor Maurice Kamto from going into the next upcoming presidential
was I not
election.
prevented?
Okay,
I was prevented.
thank you,
So,
thank you.
Let me
Those are
just
some of the things
reboot
we
it.
need
Let
to-
me just
Yeah,
reboot.
I'm coming to you. Let me get this message. Mr. Tah, good afternoon to you. Happy Sunday to everyone. You see, I think the topic is why Parliament is silent about the Anglophone crisis. So this is in key from Kononi. This one says, hi, happy Sunday, Mr. Javis and your panelists. From the beginning of the program, you mentioned several international bodies that have talked about the Anglophone crisis, yet it persists. The government of Cameroon is not willing to solve the Anglophone crisis, hanging tight on Article 64 of the Constitution, where the territorial integrity of the state is not debate, forgetting Article 47 of the Federal Constitution that prohibits the dissolution of the federal system. I would therefore conclude that the government of Cameroon has always been a typical violator of the law / Constitution. Emil writing from Yaoundé. This one right, it says, happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday. Please ask the gentleman in the studio how many cases of fraud did they witness during the last presidential election, and now that we must not contradict the result given by the Constitutional Council, are they talking about the fraud cases? The question goes to the media men as well. Talking about Anglophone crisis, all we saw how things turned out apart when Honest Wilbur was deprived of talking for his people. It is like we are still under. Okay. This one says, good afternoon to you, Mr. Tah, and all the panelists. This is not rocket science that the parliament in Cameroon is not independent. They are strictly taking instructions from the executive. The system of government in Cameroon is exclusively controlled by the executive. There is no separation of power in Cameroon. Things are written on paper in the name of a constitution, but practically it is done differently. Divine writing from Spain. This one is a happy Sunday to you guys in the studio. I love the debate both men are giving there. My focus is, why is the parliament silent? All these constitutional things that they are quoting here still doesn't explain why the parliament is silent on this issue. We saw the parliamentarians visiting Bamenda with the Pope. Did they go there for photo shoot? Or we also saw them at the Grand Measure National Dialogue. Was it not the head of state that called for Measure National Dialogue? Why is it that they still did not talk about this? Doctor, you wanted to give a rebuttal before we move to the issues.
Yeah, I want to thank those who intervened, and it's very good for us to have young Cameroonians who are intervening in this program, because that's what we want. We know we have been so much constrained by this regime, to the point where so many youths are scared of raising their voices. So many youths are scared of getting involved in political activism, and that's what also is slowing us to be able to take the necessary actions to bring a democratic change and a peaceful change in this country today. Now, I want to respond to what my fellow co-panelist Sebutaga just said. I believe that our Cameroonian laws are one of the most complete laws in the world. And I've heard my friends, be it from Rwanda, be it from Senegal, they have said that no, people have interesting laws. I will say that the main problem that Cameroonians have is that they don't read. Cameroonians don't read. If you want to hide something from Cameroonians, just put it on writing in a paper. They are not even going to look at it.
He just read. Yes,
he has been written. I'm just trying to say that on the general note, Cameroonians don't read, and I'll prove to you why Cameroonians don't read. When this constitution, this illegal constitution, was amended, creating the post of the vice presidency, I was the only person that stood up the same day and the same moment to criticize that it was illegal.
You were the only person.
Wait, it took 5 days.
He said the same.
The same day and the same. No, I'm telling you, it's a fact. Your president, Professor Maurice Kamto, came up 5 days after.
It's true.
Professor Maurice Kamto came up 5 days after, and that is somebody who will consider to be a constitutional expert. You understand? So what I'm trying to tell you is that
Everything is being provided in that constitution.
Are you saying that
I'm telling you, everything
the
is
fact that you came up the same day?
I'm telling you, what took the others 5 days? What were they thinking of? What were they thinking?
How to
What did they?
Constitutional jargon.
And I did not use constitutional jargon. And I did not use constitutional jargon the same day. I did not use constitutional jargon the same day at the same hour. What I'm still trying to tell. I think
what you are saying is the oldest form of witchcraft which you are accused Dr. Nick of doing. Because what he's simply saying is that on the same day
and
you talked about it, and also you are also shooting yourself on the leg because as a constitutional expert you should foresee what is going to happen,
and you should act on time. You act 5 days after. Why were you waiting 5 days after to act? Let me continue.
The question is this.
Let me continue.
To what extent did you go?
Are you not the one that talked about?
I said that. To what extent did I go?
Please. Are you not the one?
I want to know at the extent.
Are you not the one here that talked about not interjecting that diplomatically? Why are you shooting yourself now on the leg?
No problem. He asked his question because his question is how, to what extent did I act? You see, what people are failing to, what you're failing to understand is that we are in a political environment where many Cameroonians are not conscious of certain things. You understand? Which, of course, I will not say that is their fault, because those who are supposed to help those Cameroonians understand those things are not playing their role. You see, and that's why, as a lawyer, as a politician, at least I have knowledge. I've learned in school how to interpret laws. I've learned in school how to apply those laws. I have to bring that knowledge to help other Cameroonians. It's just like other Cameroonians who are engineers, other Cameroonians who do agriculture or business also give me knowledge when I go down on the field to ask about how things are going on. I cannot have all knowledge. I cannot know everything. But those who are experts in those domains give me advice. And I say, oh, this is interesting. We can manage waste in this manner. We can do this. We can do that. And I'm going to incorporate it. Now, as a lawyer, I have a role to uphold the rule of law. And that is the role I was playing. And that's why I said that constitution has everything. Everything is there. Nothing is, because people want to interpret it in their own ways. The constitution is clear. If you go into the spirit of the legislator, you will have everything. Everything is written there.
Dr. Mike,
wait, let me calm down.
What can you tell us about
calm down.
Article 15, subparagraph 3 or 4, which speaks of the nullity of the imperative mandate?
You are asking another question on another question. We are not yet done. We are not taking me to another angle. Because yes, we want to be focused
on the constitution.
Exactly, we can take that.
Yes, because now we are looking at
what I'm trying to say here is that because he is saying that why can the parliament not control the president? The parliament is not controlling the president because the constitution has not provided articles for the parliament to be able to do that, and the constitution has given too much powers for the president to do certain things that he cannot be controlled. I'm telling you that no, everything is provided there. The issue we are facing here, you see, there are two issues we are facing here. The first issue is that these people have been put there by the president of the republic. The president of the republic has given them favors. The president of the republic has extended their mandate, so automatically he controls them. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. It's not the constitution. That is why they are not talking. They're not talking because it is not there. No. The president has used legal means to be able to put them there. If I was the president of the republic and I have a political party, you understand, I will not go and take an illiterate to become mayor, because I know that if I put that illiterate there as mayor, there will be issues. So you must try to make the balance. Even if you want to choose those who are going to represent, make the balance. Put people who are competent. Put people who can do the job. That is what we are saying. Because at the end of the day,
practically the same thing.
At the end of the day, if we don't have competent people holding those positions, it will be difficult for us to ensure growth. Now, competent does not obviously mean that you should have degrees and the rest. Competent means that you should have a certain level of education, political education, that can permit you to be able to bring development. That's what I mean. It does not mean that we'll go and look for those who have PhDs or certificates and put bed. If you are a Cameroonian who has knowledge about the sufferings of the people, who has ideas on how to bring development, who can bring the people together, yes, you are competent. But the issue we are facing here is that we don't even have those type of people in the parliament. People who are not even in contact with the citizens of the country who are not even close to them.
How often do they even visit their
How often do they even visit their constituency? What do they do? How often do they do all of that? All of them, they do the same things.
How often do they even hold
You
meetings
see,
with their constituency?
most of them, especially now with the Anglophone crisis, most of them are here in Douala or Yaoundé. They are not even in those places. So what I'm trying to say is that the second issue, as I said, is that most of these people incompetent, they are ignorant of these things, and based on the fact that they are ignorant of the things.
I don't think it's ignorance.
No, it's ignorance. I can tell you, it's ignorance.
I told you it's bad
I said that if you want to,
as a result
I said they are ignorant. I'm telling you that they are ignorant.
Always clicked to their party discipline.
I'm telling you that
I told you that
most of them are ignorant. I'm taking a simple example here. If you want to hide anything from a Cameroonian, Mr. Javis, put it in writing. You put it in writing. They are not going to see it. They are not even going to use
So
that.
you say bad faith, he says ignorant.
No, it's not ignorant.
There is the same
they are not
thing.
ignorant.
We're talking about the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. But my only problem is that he says that those provisions are not there. I'm trying to tell him that the provisions
I said the provisions are there.
And the presidential powers have not been exaggerated. Is that the people are not there to stand against it.
Article 14 of the Constitution, subparagraph 1, which I cited, is there. Maybe you were deaf and dumb when I was talking here.
Mr. Javis,
I cited Article 25, 26, and 35 of the Constitution.
Please.
You said
So it is unheard of. When I said these provisions,
no, I think
the members of Parliament rights to speak.
We are turning around the point. I think we are saying the same things. We are just saying.
No, when you say I did not cite them, that I
no,
said
is that you gave the impression that the President of the Republic, you understand, has been given exaggerated powers through the Constitution, which cannot be contested by the Parliament. And that's why I'm telling you that no, all those powers that has been given, that's why I told you that even the state of emergency, you did not completely read the article. It states that it has to be done through a decree, and I'm telling you that if it has to be done through a decree, it has to go through the Parliament.
Yes,
and I said the state of emergency has not yet been declared with regard to the Northwest region.
That is what I'm trying to tell you that.
But the main fact that the state of emergency can be declared by the President of the Republic, you remember in 1990, I think that was in 2000.
But he has to go through the Parliament.
There are times that there are moments he might.
No, he must go.
He has done this.
And that's what I'm trying to say. It's unconstitutional.
I will give you the provision.
It's unconstitutional.
Because we are talking. What I'm doing, because I go to the law.
It is very clear that it has to be done through a decree.
Taking us back to the Constitution. We are looking at the pragmatic nature here. As far as the
you cannot talk of the pragmatic nature without talk of the highest law of the nation that gives
them the
what constitutional provision made them to enter into the Grand National Dialogue to go and discuss on the Anglophone crisis? Were they not members of the Grand National Dialogue?
It was a beautiful.
What constitutional provision made them to follow the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church of America to discuss on this issue? When people are dying, what constitutional provision?
Are biased.
Are we not the people?
Very biased.
Is there a constitutional provision that they can hold the various ministries responsible or question the dying nature? But this provision, so why are they not acting when you are talking about provisions?
The provisions are there. The issue here is that
bad faith.
There is bad faith.
He's talking about
by the mere fact that they allow themselves to be bedeviled by the money
I totally agree with you.
They gain from the executive.
Yeah,
I said that the executive arm of government is maintaining the war in the Northwest region for electoral benefits.
No,
and you were the very first person to tell me no, the elections went on there.
The election went on. Did they not have election in Batibo? Were you in Batibo in October 2025 when the elections were ongoing? Were you in Batibo the day of the voting?
You saw
images. Did you not see images circulating in the social media? Sir Mutaga, my question is: were you in Batibo on the day of election? Yes or no?
If I had gone there,
were you in Batibo?
Not there.
Yes or no? Were you in Batibo on the day of the election? Yes or no? It's a yes or no. It's not rhetoric. Were you in Batibo on the day of election? Because you are not relying yourself on secondary data. You are not basing your mind on primary data. You research the secondary data. Primary data is when you were there, when you collected it yourself.
Those things are the field data. We are talking of the practical things on in the information. Did you not have the information?
No,
newspapers, journalists, objective like
which
you
is
said.
A secondary source. Which in some cases you may not trust secondary source except it is proven.
Okay, what inquiries have been set up by the National Assembly to investigate those frauds?
You are still coming back to what I'm saying, that the Parliament is inactive, and that's why he has a point. He said they are some of their ignorance, which is true. A parliamentarian rose up because a parliamentarian rose up and said the head of state should declare state of emergency in the northern and southwest region.
It's bad faith. I said there's no ignorance.
Which he knows typically well.
You cannot be a lawmaker and you're ignorant of the law.
But that's Cameroon.
No, it's not true. I said it's bad faith. Why will you be twisting these things to?
So you are saying that these people know what they are doing.
Dr. Michael, it looks like you are excusing these
guys. I'm not excusing them. I'm saying that it's also a problem. Why? Let me tell you why it's a problem.
The money they get every month, they get the 1 million francs in their pocket. They care less with what happens in the
it goes in mediocrity and incompetence.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Tah. Cameroon politicians are not proactive. They wait everything is lost before they react. They did not anticipate the change of the constitution, and even many have not reacted to it. Thank you, Mr. Nkwan Jacob, writing from Bamenda. This other one right, he says B from Douala. I hope that the man from CRM is not there to do opposition fighting as he always tries to attack my barrister. Okay, of accepting me from Douala. I don't know who your barrister is, and this one says, okay, your barrister. I love today's program. My only worry is that people are dying in the northern and southwest region, and you people are talking about constitutional provision. Life matter. Can they not amend this constitution to solve the issue about the Anglophone crisis? Are they talking about the Anglophone crisis on the parliament for the parliament to come and determine separation or not? Why can't the parliament force the executive to look at issues, how they can resolve the conflict by releasing people keep dying? Issues, because it's a matter of an internal crisis. It's an internal crisis, and it's not that that affect people. Not talking about the parliament to come and say that there's issues. You quoted an example, the way some forces operate, they operate like a system of emergency.
Exactly. The thing is that we cannot
take action if we don't understand the violations, because we are in a democratic country, a republic, and we are being bound by the rule of law. So if we have to take any action, because of course it will require that we should take political action, but for us to take political action, we have to act in the framework of the constitution and other laws that govern us, so that the rule of law will be respected. Now, as a solution, there are two main solutions which we have. Now, the first solution is that we must engage in political activism. We must make the noise on social media. I've been repeating it several times, mobilizing youth to tell youths that social media today is a very, very powerful tool. And I have seen it in several circumstances. I've managed the case of Jacques Betraman with social media pressure. I managed the situation of my client who was illegally detained at the groupement de la gendarmerie of Bonanjo, just next to Spa, through social media pressure. And it worked. Now, what most Cameroonians must know is that they should not think that those who are leading us are not scared. They should not think that they have no fear. They have fears. Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, according to Article 2 of our Constitution, sovereignty belongs to the people. It simply means that power belongs to the people. So we have power over the executive power and the legislative power. In fact, the people have just borrowed their sovereignty to the executive and the legislative power. Because if we look at it critically, ab initio, power belongs to the people. Sovereignty belongs to the people. Now, the people of Cameroon, and particularly the youth, must be conscious of Article 2 of the Constitution, that power belongs to them. And they have just delegated it to the executive and the legislative. So the people must learn how to use the means they have in their hands to put pressure on the government. And I have always said that one of those means is through social media. Let youths mobilize themselves and talk about the Anglophone crisis. Let them keep shouting, tagging international community, tagging all African countries, leaders, the African Union. Let them keep tagging them and create more awareness around the Anglophone crisis.
Okay,
that is the first thing that will permit that pressure should be put on our leaders so that they should resolve it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now the second solution is that if we realize, as we have just said here, that the legislative power is being controlled by the executive and majority of the legislative power is by the CPDM people who see things like their president, that the Anglophone crisis ab initio, which was a plan, an agenda from the French colonial master, passed on to President Ahidjo, and actually now President Biya, who is struggling to accomplish it, and we are saying no to it. That particular agenda is an agenda which is unaccepted. We are not accepting that agenda, and we are calling upon them to change. Now they are refusing to change. What do we have next? We have the next legislative and municipal elections. Let's make sure that CPDM or any other person who thinks in like manner with the colonial master, because I've always said that we are not only, I want to be clear about it. We are not only fighting President Biya, we are not only fighting the CPDM party, we are here mainly fighting the French colonial master, who has been the instigator of everything we are having today in Cameroon. This Anglophone crisis we are having here, I will say Britain gave, let me tell you, you must understand is the French. I'll tell you why Britain has always had their ways of functioning, and they have never stayed with any of their colonial interests or trustees. They have always left. So the problem we are facing here is the French colonial master. And if you look at the way history evolved, you realize that these things are being orchestrated by France, who is today even struggling to get into Nigeria. And I hope that Nigerians will be wise enough to prevent, and Kenya, to prevent them from getting in, because they are the ones that have caused the chaos that we are seeing today in Cameroon. And why do I insist? Why do I insist on the French and those who have ties with the French colonial master? Because when we look at all other political leaders who have had ties or who have anything to do with France, you will realize that they have been very dormant on the Anglophone crisis. And even when it concerns resolving the Anglophone crisis, they don't give any clear plan. I'm talking here about Issa Chiroma and Professor Kamto. They are not giving any clear plan to resolve the Anglophone crisis. Yeah. And I'll tell you something. And I'll tell you something. Wait, no. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. I'll call both of them. Let me talk. It's my time. You will not prevent me from, we are in a republic country. We are in a democratic party. There is liberty of expression. It's a fundamental human right. It is provided in our constitution. There is liberty of expression. There is liberty of expression. Professor Maurice Kamto has never reached the northwest and the southwest. He has never gone to the northwest and the southwest. This is what I'm trying to say. Before the crisis, to do what? Everybody could go there before the crisis now. I've been there all the time. I'm in the southwest all the time in the southwest. I've gone there. What do I represent? What do you mean by what do I represent?
If he has gone there, he said yes now.
What do you mean by what? And this is the problem. We are talking about this political fanaticism of certain youth of the MRC. I will say this and I'll repeat it. Let me round up. I am very clear. Today we as African youths, we as the Cameroonian youths, we are aspiring for an independent, united, free Cameroon. And the only way we can achieve that is going back to the root causes of all what we are facing today. Now, the things we are facing today, with the things we are facing today, please, no, please. No, you have your time. You have your time. You have your time. You have your time. The things we are facing to Cameroon, the youth of Mali are facing it. The youth of Niger are facing it. The youth of Burkina Faso are facing it. The youth of Senegal are facing it. And we all know the problem is the link with the French colonial master. And that is why I will insist that the CPGM must be kicked out, and every other party that has ties with the colonial master, if we want to resolve the Anglophone crisis.
Yes, you wanted to react before I ask my question.
Please, next time when you want to invite me for a panel like this, get mature people. What I'm saying here is this. We are talking about the Anglophone crisis and the inactive.
What do you mean by get mature people?
Yeah, get mature people. People who can be ready to talk ideas and not talk about people. Not talk about people. Since I came here, I know a lot about Dr. Mike, who's been a presidential aspirant. If I want to talk, I would have edited.
No, you're free.
Yeah, but this is not a platform. This is not a platform. This is not a platform to talk about people.
No, you are free.
If we are talking,
I'm telling you here,
he's agitating a lot. Please, can you calm down? He's agitating a lot. He's agitating a lot.
They used to do that.
He's agitating a lot.
He's
agitating too much.
Because he's giving the public the impression that he has things that I am afraid of. Please say it.
Okay, the law. Okay, please.
I am the cleanest politician.
The law. Barrister.
Say it. I'm the cleanest politician.
You know, I have
you
always had the habit that we must not destroy those who are in the process of learning because they need to reach maturity. Like I was saying, Mr. Tah Mai Javis, Professor Maurice Kamto.
Is it affirmative that you don't have anything against him?
Professor, we must never destroy those who are still immature and they are struggling to be matured.
You are entitled to your
like I said, I said a while ago, I have not come here to discuss about people.
And we were not talking about issues. He made something.
It's a derogation. I know. I understand. He would have time to be matured one day. So, like I was saying, Mr. Tah Mai Javis, unless you want to take his position, I said that Professor Kamto is one of those politicians that has sacrificed a lot with regard to the Anglophone crisis. You recall that in 2019, we did white marches in Douala, all the 10 regions of Cameroon, and one of the agendas or topics on the march past or marches that we did, the protest, public protest that was carried out, was an end to the war going on in the northwest and southwest region. You will bear in mind that we boycotted the 2020 municipal and parliamentary elections because we said elections that will be conducted in the northwest and southwest region, which are elections of proximity, will warrant that there should be absolute guarantee of peace and tranquility in the two regions. So most internally displaced persons from the northwest and southwest region have benefited a lot, either through financial assistance from the CRM, from Professor Maurice Kamto himself.
Financial
assistance. I'm very sure.
Please.
Go through. I want to tell you, if you want me to say it, meet the Aya Foundation. They will tell you, because we don't give money directly.
You'll be giving money to the Aya Foundation.
Yes.
You are agitating a lot. I said go through the Blessing Solidarity Home in Yaoundé. You see, we've reached young students who've not been able to sponsor their university education, even primary school dropout. Some other persons will help to establish them. It's done by Professor Maurice Kamto. And
does it stop him from being a puppet?
Now, when you look at in 2018, 2019, Professor Kamto said that to resolve the Anglophone crisis, by virtue of Article 45, which you are a jurist just like I am, Cameroon has ratified international treaties, conventions, and all the like that give primacy for Cameroon to import foreign intelligence to negotiate. So, like I said, the Anglophone crisis today is a crisis that can be resolved just two ways. The first thing is by what? International mediation. We need international partners like the United States of America, I still insist we need Britain, we need France, we need Germany to come on table. Those separatist leaders are there. We dialogue with them. Secondly,
we're out of time. Please,
secondly,
please, we don't have time. The law, don't have time. Land, please, the law, barrister, please.
This is immaturity.
I
didn't know it's too immature like this. I said this. I have not yet landed. Look at immaturity. Like I said, not beating around the bush unless you want to join me in his incantation. I said this. Why can't you guys allow me to talk? Is it normal?
I'm saying that I just asked
you are the host and you are making noise like
that. I just asked you to stop. You are the one.
Yes, I said, and I repeat, I said that all those who are in prisons must be released. I've always advocated on that, and I said the CRO has been saying so.
Yes.
And we said that.
I agree with that.
We are going in for the municipal and parliamentary elections. He speaks with a lot of alacrity, audacity, and certain type of euphoric ecstasy that Cameroonians should go out. I'll be telling him that if there would be litigations on parliamentary elections, you know who will be handling it. Is the president of the Constitutional Council. The CRM has always hammered on the composition of the electoral or on the Constitutional Council, saying that they should get impartial persons to manage the institutions of our nation. So before we are going
please, we're out of time. We're out of time. Please.
You're asking me how would that be done? I think there should be a consultative talk.
Okay.
There should be a national consensus. That's what an intellectual like you should be telling Cameroonians. Thank you so much.
Yes,
like I said, those in the northwest and southwest region, I want to tell them they should be careful with Anglophone demagogues who come here to paint Francophone politicians as the worst, whereas we have our own and the government who said there was no war. People like Mike will come here and sing the praises of Anglophone. I'm quite sure if he's appointed a minister tomorrow, he'll be the very first person to turn back. He's back on them. So please work and understand that we are not separated from Francophones.
Yes.
Francophone politicians like Issa Truma, Maurice Kamto are not against Anglophones being recognized as first-class citizens in this nation.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Javis. I just want to encourage all Anglophones and all Cameroonians to go out there, get registered, and prepare for the legislative elections. We all know the truth.
Okay.
And one of the issues we have been having is that Francophones don't even know that Southern Cameroon was a country. Professor Maurice Kamto has never accepted that Southern Cameroon is